Hello, good morning, everybody. Oh, might not be seeing this in the morning. Okay, good day, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Um, so lately we've been talking about the classical growth model, particular reference to the solo growth model. So today we're talking about the endogenous growth model. Just as the solo growth model was an improvement upon the growth equation accounting, or growth accounting equation. So the endogenous growth model is also providing an alternative view to the solo growth model. It's more or less like trying to also improve upon what the solo growth model was talking about. Now, the solo growth model's conclusion was that eventually, what determines the long-run economic growth and standard of living of people is something that just happens out of the blue. It's something out of their control, which is productivity or which is growth in productivity. Do you understand? So that's what I mean, growth in productivity. So that is what can I would demonstrated that in that it affects the economy in two ways. It increases households directly, all right, and then it also increases the saving ratio, which then increases the capital power, the steady state capital power worker ratio. We did that. I think we did that 2 classes ago. Now the indigenous growth model is saying that no, it is not like that. So what's determined because what solo model was trying to like paint was a situation of doom. Like you get to a stage where everything is locked, standard of living is constant, your capital power worker ratio is constant, everything is output power worker is constant. So you just have to like keep doing whatever you are doing and be hoping that one day nature is gonna smile on you, and then there's going to just be like maybe an invention somewhere. Something random just happens, and that is what determines. And I think human beings we like to be in control, right? So we don't want that kind of a thing where what significantly determines our living standard is what is totally out of our control. Something that just happens, and things like that they don't even happen like they are so random. They are not even things you can predict. That's why they are out of control. So the indigenous growth model is saying no, it's not like that. So we can control the rates of productivity. Okay, so that's what this model is just trying to improve upon. We can control the rate of productivity. So there is a way we can work towards it to ensure that there is increased productivity and there are better standard of living of people. And in fact, we do not expect that the standard of living of people are going to be constant. No, you understand? So how does this theory or this model, how does it tender its own argument? Now, first, the assumptions are that number one, the number of workers are constant, and then there is no diminishing returns to capital. This is actually interesting, like very interesting. So number of workers are constant. So here it simply means that if the number of workers are constant, then that means output per worker is also constant. You understand? So if output, for example, was let's say output per worker. Okay, let me just write it here. Output per worker is y over L is equal to like 9 over 6 over 3, right? Then only output increases. Okay, if output increases, then you have this increases to 9 over 3. So the number of workers is still constant, but output has increased now to 9. Okay, so now let's actually the growth in output. The growth in output is 9 over 6 divided by 6. That's 100 over 1. All right, 3 over 6 half. This is 50%. So the growth in output, is 50% on its own. Now let us also look at the growth in output per worker. All right, so the growth in output per worker is now going to be 9 over 3 minus 6 over 3 divided. So this is new minus old over old divided by 6 over 3 and times 100 equals 9 over 3 is 3, right? 3 minus 6 over 3 is 2, here we essentially have 3 minus 2, which is 1 divided by 6 divided by 3, which is 2 multiplied by 100, which is still what 50%. All right, so that's just the implication 50%. So the assumption that number of workers are constant simply means that if output grows, um, the output per worker also happens to grow like proportionately, and I've demonstrated that mathematically. And the second says that there is no diminishing returns to capital, which is very interesting. Okay, now it is a major deviation from what the solo growth model was saying, and these people people that developed this model, like they tendered their arguments by saying that why should there be diminishing returns to capital if two things are happening? If number one, there is human capital development. So like, and number two, there is research and development. Okay, R&D, there's R&D spending. People are spending on R&D. So why should there be diminishing returns to capital? And I looked at it too that, wow, why would there be diminishing returns to capital? There will be diminishing returns to capital when the increase in capital stock, you know, is being used with the same amount of other inputs. Now, each is a labor. So you keep increasing your capital stock, but you don't increase the amount of your laborers. So let me say the quality of your laborers. So the additional stock of capital happens to maybe go to waste or have little impact on the economic growth of the economy. All right. So that's like diminishing returns. Okay. Okay. And the other one is why would there be diminishing? The other reason why there might be diminishing loss capital is when um, people cannot handle the sophistication of the capital that's being provided. Okay, people cannot handle it. You know, so why would they? So that those are the two reasons why I think okay, they are going to be diminishing returns capital, right? But you would see around us, right? Around us, what is happening when there is, when there's an increase in capital stock, or let me say that when there's it's kind of a new technology or something like that, people get trained to handle these things. Okay, for example, when the computer came, of course, computer has a lot of potential. How many people could operate a computer? That was when it first came that time. So then we could have said that okay, looking at computer in addition to the total capital stock of the economy, we could have said okay, it's probably brought diminishing returns, but in the sense that okay, it's addition to the economy. Some people may have been early adopters, and they adopted it, and they were able to like do one or two things with it, and output increased. But over time, more people got trained, in handling computers and so on and so forth. And before you know it, so everybody, a lot of people, if you are not computer literate today, it's just like wow, are you living in Mars or you're living in Venus, something like that? So why shouldn't you not use a computer? So now if people get trained in handling these things, so why should there be diminishing returns to capital? You understand? And that's like interesting. Look at and then other times, okay, when you got into school, for example, and then you just discover that you are not allowed to submit your assignments, like in written form. Okay, so you have to type them, and so which means that's the computer related stuff. You have to type them and what have you. So if you look at it, have you not learned how to type? Have you not learned how to type? If you look at the days of vehicles too, when cars, aeroplanes were first introduced into the world, people got trained over time, and people are still getting trained. You understand? So like it could be like boom, wow, what's this? Oh god! Apart from the Wright brothers, how many people can fly this plane, or how many people do we have in the world? You understand? But over time, pilots are getting trained. So if the skills, because human capital is just talking about the embodiment of skills, attitude, training. You understand that an individual has, you understand, the embodiment of skills, the embodiment of even health, how healthy the individual is, the embodiment of training, right? The embodiment of attitude, that this individual has, okay, that can aid growth and development of an economy. So if these things are being developed in addition to whatever is new, you understand? Whatever is something is new, whatever is new. So that means there shouldn't be diminishing returns to capital, which is an interesting argument. Okay, that's one. Now, what about research and development? Okay, now when something happens, then businesses, the private sector, even the government, they begin to spend on processes. Okay, they begin to spend on we already have this capital stock. What is the best way to make use of these things? Right, so they begin to spend. Businesses are spend. Business want to raise profits. Government wants to improve the standard of living of people either directly or indirectly. So they begin to spend. So how do we make the best use of these things that we have? And then they come up with some things that are innovative. You understand? That I know okay, we can make use of this thing in like better like this. So this is more efficient than the other one. Okay, now we have cars, okay, that are a part of emission of chlorofluorocarbons, destroying our what do you call it now? It's I don't know, just my mind. So causing climate change issues and stuff like that. But now you have businesses, government, countries, investing, going green. They are investing in green technology every now and then. So we still have some of our capital stock, right? We still have a lot of them. But now we don't want them to, we want them to be more efficient. So we don't want them to contribute as much as they used to contribute to, greenhouse gas emissions. So we don't want that now. We want less or we want nothing. Like, we want clean energy. Okay. So in as much as those things are, being put money into, I say that some things are also going to be coming up. You understand? Some kind of information, right? Because research and development leads to development of, it leads to information spread, information, quality information spread. Like, there's no how you embark on something by the time the result, once the result is out, everybody knows it. You understand? So, and the information is kind of everywhere. Once you just put the result of whatever inside that you don't want to just put it out, information is everywhere. So all of these things are there. So why should capital stock diminish? So that's the argument. So once these two things are in place, once human capital development, is in place, and then research and development is also continuously in place. So that means that there shouldn't be marginal, um, there shouldn't be diminishing returns to capital. You understand? So that's why they say that in their own model, um, there is no, their capital is not, diminishing. Capital is not diminishing. All right, so we are going to get to that. So we have, so instead, why output is a function of productivity and capital stock. So here, capital stock is not diminishing. So which means that the production function of this model is going to be something like this. So where this would be y equals ak, this would be saving equals SAK, and this will be investments. Now, the way the investments is here, is the same thing as the other one, just that the notations are different. So it's change the K representing net investment, and the K representing depreciation investment. So like it's going to be linear, upward sloping. So it's not going to be like a curve, that we drew the other time, because there is no diminishing returns to capital. All right. So let's continue with the model development. So I equals net investment plus depreciation, so which is this. Y is AK, saving is what like that. So at equilibrium, all right, at equilibrium, savings, national savings equals to the total investment. So SAK is equal to change the K plus the K. So what you just have to do is, make the K subject of the equation. So that will lead to SAK minus depreciation investment. So when you divide through by K, what we have left is the K, which is growth in the capital stock, which is equal to the saving rate multiplied by productivity and minus depreciation. All right. Now here, how does growth come in? So since the growth in capital stock is proportional to growth in output, so you can just replace the K with the Y equals saving multiplied by productivity and minus depreciation. Now, what is the magic? What's the magic that happens in this place? Okay, recall that you have Y equals AK, right? So let's say A was 0. Let me just use the example here because I don't have a calculator. I don't want to disturb myself. Y equals 2.5. Then initial K was 20. Okay, 2.5 multiplied by 20, Y is 50. Now, the capital stock rose to 50. So 2.5 times 50, that's is that not 125? 50 times 2. Um, yeah, that should be 125. It is 125. So what is the growth in capital stock? This is K, right? Growth in capital stock is 50 minus 20 over 20 times 100 over 1. And growth in output is 125 minus 50 over 50 times 100 over 1. So if you look at it, 50 minus 20, that's 30. 30 over this, 20 over 20 over 5, 30 times 5, 150%. So there's a 150% growth in capital stock. How about this? This is 75, this 75 over 50 multiplied by 100. This is also 150% growth in output. So you can say that it is commensurate. So the growth in capital stock, the percentage growth in capital stock is same as the percentage change in output, the stock of output. And I have explained this one with talking about the growth accounting equation, that the y is talking about growth. So it's already in percentage like that. So the y is equal to SA. So if you look at this, so since if you recall that this guy L productivity constant, solo swan, those two guys L productivity constant, A constant. But here you can start. It is not constant. Okay, a is also affected by S. So the amount of saving rate, all right, will increase, SA. So the more you increase your saving rate, the more your SA, increases. So which means that if an economy saves more, okay, it can experience, increments in productivity. All right. So this is technically saying that what determines our long run growth, understand, is not just a productivity that comes from the moon. So if we spend more on savings. No, why did I spend more on savings? If we save, larger parts of our incomes, okay, or of our outputs, we should be experiencing increments in productivity, by extension, increments in outputs, and then increments in, living standards. Okay, so that's the argument here. So the arguments of the indigenous growth theory is that um, the long run growth rate of an economy is determined within that economy if the economy can just increase its saving rate. Okay, and not just that, right? Not just that. The economy can increase its saving rates, the economy can continue to invest in its human capital development, and if the economy continues to embark on research and R&D, so increase saving rates, increase this guy, invest in this guy. So why won't you have increments in productivity? Then I think it makes sense. And honestly speaking, I think it makes sense, a lot of sense. All right. So for me, as an individual, for example, I've gone through the university, and here I am, using some of it. I've been trained, you understand, using some of the things that I learned in school with some of other things like just getting myself acquainted with one or two technology, and I'm able to come up with this, right? And I'm also able to come up with a school of economics that helps students, you understand, and lately, results of students in their universities, that we're training are out, and they've been amazing, they've been mind blowing. You understand? So now I've been trained, some people invested in some of the processes that I'm using today, and you can see with that, I'm coming up with something that betters the other that leads to the betterment of the lives of the students that I am taking, the ones that I even know, not to even talk of those that just come to watch YouTube videos and and just move, you understand, and stuff like that. So you can see, so if it makes a lot of sense, all right? It makes a lot of sense. So once you continue to save more of your money and you invest it in human capital development, invest it in R&D, in the development of new technology, in innovation, right? And then in invention. So why shouldn't you? And I think that is what has been happening, a lot. You understand? Although realistically speaking, there are still some form of shocks that will increase the productivity of a nation, which are, when I say shocks, they are outside, what thought of. You understand? But a lot of increment in productivity still depend on a lot of the things that we already know. So if we can just do these things, you understand, then okay, something else might come up. And there might just be one guy somewhere, one scientist somewhere, probably working on one of the craziest ideas that will soon be out this year. I don't know, or maybe next year, maybe in 10 years time. People just working in one laboratory, whatever, you understand, like that. So and if they are successful, they come up with something nice too. The equipment they used, you understand, who provided them? Of course, that must have been as a result of R&D. The training they have, what happened? Some people must have developed them. Like some people must have shaped their attitude. Some people must have trained them. So if you look at the end of the day, realistically speaking, we kind of determine our productivity. Some happen out of the blue, right? And some they happen based on what we already. So I'm just trying to be philosophical and just trying to be empirical as well. So I've already gone outside our model. Okay. But that's just I think it makes sense. I think this is but personally speaking, I still do not think that there wouldn't be diminishing marginal returns to capital, but it will not be more because there's a time lag between there's a time lag between when an invention is out and when people are able to get themselves acquainted with that invention. So with that, during that period, so for me, I might just say that with my still experience, emission returns to marginal, the emission marginal returns to capital. You understand? Because of that time lag, the time it takes, you understand? If you have a software, you understand? If you have a software on your computer and you want to learn, so it takes you time, sometimes it takes you money before you can become a pro at it. You understand? So like because of that time lag, so there might still be, but there's no time lag in the model. So let's just go, let's just flow it. Okay. All right. So what are the highlights? Depreciation is also here. Please don't forget. So you go to this guy. That one economic growth is a function of saving rate, productivity, then minus depreciation. So what are the highlights here? Saving rate is a major determinant of long-term growth according to this model. So that and saving is something that you can control. The amount you save is something you can control. It is endogenously saving is a variable that you can control. So that makes productivity controllable. You understand? So saving rate is a major determinant of long-run growth. Then number two, human capital development and R&D also influence long-run growth a lot, like I've illustrated and explained. So, living standards by extension. So, what are the policy implications of this model? Number one, stimulation of saving rates through lower taxes, higher interest rates, etc. In as much as these things are, in as much as saving is responsive to changes in tax rate and changes in interest rates. You understand? So that means the government can encourage savings through lower taxes, higher interest rates, or whatever. Okay. Now number two, provision of physical infrastructure, which is like the creation of capital. Anyway, that's like talking about net investment. So net investment is creation of capital, new capital stock. So the more the net investment, the more the physical infrastructure. Then there should be investment in R&D, both from the private sector and from the public sector. Investment in human capital development, private sector, public sector. At least education, for example, both the private sector and the governments in many countries, if not all countries, are vested in at least a minimum attainment of education, or a minimum acquisition. So in Nigeria, for example, I think SS3. So you spend your first 6, 3, 4, 9, 16 years in school, so they are free in a lot of states in Nigeria. Your first 16 years in school, from your primary to your JSS1 to JSS3 to your SS1 to SS, even your wife, the exam that you write, West African examination that's eventually right. So they are being sponsored by the government. You understand? In many states. Someone like me, I graduated from um, uh, public secondary education, or I went to private school. And even at the universities, I'm in the federal university right now, where my education was heavily subsidized, like heavily. I'm serious. The first time I saw my school fees for 100 level, I was surprised. Like I was just surprised. Like damn, like this is the amount. It's not even much. The amount was far lower than what some kids in private schools are paying, in private primary and secondary schools are paying, as their school fees. You understand? So you can see all of those systems to shape my own human capital development. So like those things should continue, and it should also ensure intellectual property rights. So this is more or less like something the government should do, because investment in R&D, you understand, like I said, leads to information. It leads to um, the dissemination of quality information when you begin to talk about your findings from the research that you've conducted. So and once that information is out, it goes like that. So whatever product, whatever invention that you've been able to come up with as an individual, as a private sector, or maybe someone in the government, I don't know. Whatever you've been able to come up with, the government should protect you. You understand? So that you at least enjoy the benefits of your artwork in the um, development, or in the um, let me just say development, in the development of that thing. You understand? At least for a period of time. I think one of the ways that is done is through patents. So when you come up with something nice, okay, the government gives you maybe 10 years patents, but you are the only person that is exclusively allowed, to sell whatever it is, whatever product that was as a result of your research, findings. Understand? So when you have economic, when you have an economy like that, at least it encourages researchers, to continue to do something because they know that by the time their products are out and they are beneficial to the economy, that's when they are successful, and there is a responsible government that protects them and allows them to reap the benefits of their invention and innovations for a long period of time. You understand? So those things should also be put in place. So that's it about the endogenous growth theory. So I hope you enjoyed this series. So far talking about growth accounting equation, talking about the solo model, and talking about endogenous growth theory. I think now we have like 7 classes, no 5 classes on these things, like 5 years on these things. So like I've enjoyed myself so far. It has been an interesting period. So thank you. Um, as an assignment, just look out or just find like maybe 5 criticisms of the indigenous growth theory. There would always be criticisms, you understand? So just find out 5 criticisms of the endogenous growth theory. So that's your assignment. So find them out, write them, submit them, explain them, you understand? And don't forget to include your references. You understand? Okay. So thank you very much. See you next time.